Greetings, YouTube. So I found myself thinking about the messages that we give women all the time. And I'm not talking subtle, suggestions. I'm not talking about, implications. I'm talking about direct verbal or written messages we give women. We tell women to walk to their cars with their keys between their fingers in case they have to punch somebody. Or we tell them to have a pepper spray or a personal alarm on their person at all times. Or we tell them to have, their thumb right there ready to dial 911 on their phone. We tell them to go in groups or to cover their drinks at parties and at bars to make sure that no one puts anything in it. We tell them to, make sure there's no one in your back seat in the car. We tell them what they shouldn't and shouldn't wear and where they should and shouldn't go. And we do all of this except examine why. And when I say we, I mean we. Because I've done some of these shitty things. I've said some of these shitty things. And I was wrong when I did it, and it's wrong now. And I'd like to apologize. And the key component of an apology, for it to be sincere, is a change in behavior, which I've already made, and a promise to do what you can to dismantle the reason the incident happened to begin with. And that's why I'm here now. Because we're not addressing the reason we tell these things to women. I was not addressing the reason that we tell women these things. And the reason that we tell women these things is that we as a society have just sort of accepted men are violent fuckers. We just accept that. It's like the goddamn weather. It's just pervasive. And we just can't really do anything about it. You just have to accept it. And we tell women these things the same way we tell people to make sure they have their umbrella with them if we get a forecast for rain. Except this isn't weather. And all the actions that we are telling women to do in defense of predatory, violent men are voluntary. Every man that has ever catcalled a woman, followed a woman, harassed a woman, stalked a woman, raped a woman, or killed a woman has done so voluntarily. No one made them do it. They did it because they wanted to. And they wanted to because we've normalized those behaviors. We said, it's okay. We expect men to be harassers and stalkers and rapists and killers. We accept this. And yes, if we catch any of them, we'll send them to trial and maybe we'll send them to prison. But in the process, of course, there will be all kinds of people that will come to their defense and say how they didn't mean it or they weren't to blame for it, even though everything they did was completely voluntary. But we won't get to the root of the issue, which is our acceptance. We won't get to the root of rape culture or toxic masculinity or the patriarchy, because that's hard. That means picking things open that we really don't want to look at. It means addressing that there are women who are complicit in this because there are women raising boys in our world that reinforce these horrible tropes because they were raised in a rape culture under the guise and control of toxic masculinity and the patriarchy. They were conditioned from when they were a child to accept these things. Except we don't have to. This isn't nature. This isn't weather. This is a choice. You can teach a dog not to go after a steak. You can teach a human to not be violent. And we have to start at birth. We have to make sure that boys know that they need to process their emotions, not shut them down. We need to never tell a boy, man up, or stop crying. We have to tell them that it's okay to cry, it's okay to be confused, it's okay to not understand how your emotions are working at the minute, and that your parents will help you as best they can, but you can just accept the fact that there will be times in your life where there isn't an emotional answer, and that's okay. That they'll still love you, and they'll be there to help you find the answer eventually. And if they can't, they'll help point you in the direction of someone that can. We need to make sure that anyone that identifies as masculine understands that anything they do is masculine. If you like to cook, masculine. Like to sew, masculine. Like to garden, masculine. Like to wear dresses, masculine. They're not women's clothes. They're your clothes. Your masculine clothes. Clothes have no goddamn gender. Into musicals? Cool, that's masculine. You like freeform dance? Cool, that's masculine. It doesn't matter. Anything you choose to do, if you identify as masculine, is masculine. Just as if you identify as feminine, anything you do is feminine. And if you're non-binary, everything you do is non-binary. These things have no gender attachment. They are all neutral. We create the gender attachment. Sticking a needle with a piece of thread attached to it through a piece of cloth does not have a gender connection. That's just a mechanical action to combine two pieces of cloth. Digging a hole in the ground and putting a bulb and covering it at the right time of the year so it grows is a gender-neutral action. We have just said that this people over here should do it and these people over here shouldn't. And that's bullshit. We allow men to become the destructive forces they are in the world because we won't raise boys to be healthy, well-adjusted people. And we keep doing this generation after generation. And we need to work on that. And we're not good at it because it's hard. We don't do hard well. We just want to do the same thing our parents did. Newsflash, your parents fucked up. Your grandparents fucked up. Now, there are exceptions out there. Some people's parents didn't fuck up. Some people's grandparents didn't fuck up. Mine did. And I imagine most of the people watching this video, your parents and your grandparents did. Maybe not all in the same way. That's the beauty of intersectional feminism. It helps us understand that sometimes things are really goddamn complex. But we can't just accept them anymore. And men created this problem, so men have to work on it. Now, I know that there are going to be some edgelords coming into this video and telling me, well, most men are, they're not like this. Well, guess what? If you aren't anti-misogynistic, if you aren't anti-rape culture, if you aren't anti-patriarchy, then you're part of the problem. And if you come in here and tell me that, well, men suffer more violence than women do, okay, who's doing the attacking? It's not fucking Martians. It's other men. And if you tell me, well, men suffer more rape in prison than women do in the street, again, it's not Venusians raping them in prison. It's other men. Do you see the pattern? Do you see the connection? Or is being blind to this just really convenient? I know all these things. And they're all bullshit. And I won't put up with it. Never have, never will. You don't come to my channel and use my channel as your platform for your bullshit. And it's my job to help break down rape culture and toxic masculinity and the patriarchy in any way I can. And I call bullshit when I hear it in person. Because if you don't, you're part of the problem. So don't be part of the problem. If you don't know how to raise a healthy child, talk to a therapist. They do. If you've raised a child in a way that isn't healthy and you've come to realize you did this, get him a therapist. Get yourself a therapist. Work this shit out. Don't ever tell a woman to travel in packs and what she should and shouldn't wear and put keys between her fingers to keep her life. Talk about why men are violent. Talk about why men are harassers and stalkers and why it's so goddamn hard to get them charged with crimes. Talk about how the cops are complicit, how the legal system is complicit. Talk about how it just accepts that men are like this. You ask a woman who's filed domestic abuse charges how difficult it is to get those kind of things enforced. And yet the cops can find a woman because of the t-shirt she wore during a protest? When it benefits them, suddenly they're fucking Sherlock Holmes. But when it comes to keeping a woman safe and unraped and unmurdered, oh well, it's Barney Fife time. We need to call bullshit in all of this stuff. And if you aren't, you're part of the problem. So stop being part of the problem. Be part of the solution. Men made this problem. It's our goddamn job to fix it.